involve the following 6 categories. 1. Preparation. 2. Mixing, application, curing. 3. Cleanup. 4. Selecting the correct mix. 5. Setting the cure. And 6. Problem solving. Now let's study each category. 1. The preparation. Before you begin, gather all the equipment and supplies you need to do your job. This checklist provides you with an easy guide. Colored epoxy resins, hardeners, working area, warming tray, scale, cups, stirrers, dispenser unit, armrest, syringe stand, styrofoam boards, masking tape, air dry or bake systems for drying, and pieces for painting. Colored epoxy resins are a highly refined organic compound. They are safe, non-flammable, and non-toxic with a liquid consistency of honey. Their versatility lends itself easy to all kinds of creative decoration with color. The colored epoxy resins are part A of a 2-part system. Hardeners are the part B of the 2-part system. They are the catalysts that activate the physical characteristics of the product. The type of hardener determines the pot life, or the working time, the cure time, or the drying time, and the rate of flow, or the viscosity. A tidy, dust-free work area is essential to achieve the most effective results. A warming tray is used to prepare the colored epoxy resins. It allows you to maintain the resin at a consistent temperature for easier mixing. The scale is a necessity for accurate measuring by weight of Part A to Part B. There are 2 types used by the industry, the digital gram scale and the triple beam scale. Cups for mixing must be plastic or plastic-coated paper. Uncoated paper cups will absorb the epoxy and quickly break down. Wax cups will leave wax residue in the mixture, which can cause pitting in the final finish. Stirrers come in 2 sizes, small wooden popsicle sticks or large wooden tongue depressors. Never use plastic coffee stirrers. These are not strong enough or wide enough for thorough mixing. The pneumatic dispenser unit is the most up-to-date method for easy application. Basically, begin with the air compressor with a minimum capacity of a 3-gallon tank and a maximum pressure of 60 psi. The dispenser unit begins with the brass fitting attached to the air line from the compressor. From the brass fitting, we move to the regulator. The regulator controls the air that flows through the dispenser unit. The pressure gauge indicates the amount of desired air. The standard airflow is maintained at 20 pounds. Depending on the type of area being filled, the needle used, and how fast you move your hand, you can adjust the pressure. There is a dial for adjusting the flow by lifting and turning clockwise to increase the pressure, counterclockwise to decrease the pressure. The foot pedal releases the air through the tubing to the male-female quick connects, to the adapter head including the rubber O-ring. This unit is called the adapter assembly. It is available in 3 sizes. Most commonly used is the 10cc, secondly the 30cc, and finally the 50cc for larger runs. The syringes complement the adapter with the same sizes. A plunger and stopper are available to clean your syringe. From the syringe, we move to the needle. They come in a range of sizes and colors. The largest number is 14 in white, and the smallest is 30 in lavender. The most common sizes used are 18 to 23, with the most popular needle sizes being 20 yellow, 21 green, and 22 black. For your convenience, these may be ordered by gauge size or by color. The armrest helps keep a steady hand for careful work. The syringe stand is a useful tool when filling a syringe or holding a syringe when not in use. Now that your equipment is installed, you need to prep your pieces. The boards are used to set up your pieces. The styrofoam board has become the industry standard. There are 2 grades most commonly used, the DB and the FB. Make sure your styrofoam boards do not flake or crumble. Wooden slat boards can also be made and work well for higher temperature baking. Prepare the boards by taping with masking tape. This allows your pieces to remain stationary while painting. Lay your pieces on the taped boards. Make sure your pieces are level. One last question. How are you going to dry or cure your epoxy? There are two alternatives: the air dry system or the bake dry system. The equipment needed for the air dry system is a clean, closed area with level shelving. The area must maintain a constant temperature of at least 72 degrees Fahrenheit. The bake system is the most effective. The equipment needed is a hot room or a device which maintains a minimum temperature of 85 degrees Fahrenheit or up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. A hot room is ideal for production. It is exactly like a closet. The heat source can be either a quartz heater, an electric heater, or infrared heat bulbs, depending on the size of the room. A homemade device can be as simple as a cardboard box lined with foil, a light bulb, and a thermometer. A minimum of 100 degrees Fahrenheit is recommended. A warming tray can also be used with a cardboard box lined with foil. Your boards can be stacked inside, the temperature turned to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and baking can begin. This gives you a very effective oven for samples, complete in 2 to 3 hours. With your equipment prepared and your pieces set up, you are now ready to mix your epoxy. Mixing and application. The basic formula to remember is 2 parts colored resin to 1 part hardener by weight. 2 of part A to 1 of part B. Even when adjusting your own color or adding powders, the mix always remains 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener by weight. Always clear or tear your scale to 0 with the cup on the scale. Then measure your colored resin. We recommend you mix a minimum of 10 grams color to 5 grams hardener. A standard mix is 20 color to 10 hardener, called a 20-10 mix. Gently stir, do not whip. Vigorous mixing will create air bubbles. For ultra-smooth bubble-free mixes, a vacuum pump is recommended. This is most effective when using transparent epoxy color and when doing fine lines. Once the mix is ready, you have approximately 45 minutes working time, or pot life, before the mix begins to thicken or set up. Next, choose the correct needle for the area you are filling. For example, the finer the area, the smaller the needle. Carefully pour the mix into the syringe. Remember, pressing the foot pedal pushes the epoxy through the needle. If, for example, the flow is too fast, adjust the flow by reducing the pressure. Always outline your area first. Continue filling through the center of the piece. Do not overfill. When properly filled, move the needle back and forth to smooth the surface without pressing the foot pedal. Depending on the type of hardener used, other colors can be applied at the same time. A wide variety of creative special effects can be achieved at this time. To clean up. Your syringe can be cleaned by removing the needle and pressing the foot pedal to empty the colored resin. A plunger can then be used. The syringe can be rinsed clean with methylene chloride, a non-flammable stripper that actually dissolves the epoxy. Hardened pieces also can be stripped by soaking should a mistake be made. Soap and water makes an easy cleanup of hands in the work area where epoxy is wet. A washing cream is available along with a protective hand cream to further ease in the cleanup. Keep the area clean. Unused color can be thrown away. As long as it's been mixed with hardener, it will not cause any environmental damage. Quantities of unused resin can be returned to RBC for proper disposal. Now let's understand more about the physical characteristics of the epoxy. Which hardener do I use? Let's choose the correct mix by analyzing the surface to be painted. Selecting the correct mix will give you the best results possible. The right hardener will allow you to control the flow of the epoxy. The idea is to choose the hardener most suited to the size and dimension of the piece. This allows you to achieve the ultimate goal, a smooth, flawless, glass-like finish. 2 points to understand. 1. Flow and build are known as viscosity. 2. Surface tension or control are known as thixotropic index. The best way to show you is to draw lines with each different mix. Notice the control of the flow and the build of each line. Remember, the flow and the build of the line match the size and the dimension of the piece. The first line is with B31 hardener. Notice how loosely it flows. There's no build and really no control of the flow. This is a low viscosity hardener for flat surfaces with walls in order to restrict the flow. The next line is B35 hardener. Notice how this mix does not flow as loosely as the first line. There is some control, yet still no restriction, nor is there any significant build. Low build equals low curve. Loose flow still needs walls. Therefore, B35 hardener is only suited for low dome pieces with walls or flat surfaces with no walls. The third line is made with mix B31C 7.5 hardener. This is the most widely used hardener and the most versatile. Notice how the flow is controlled. Notice the build of the epoxy. This is a medium viscosity hardener for medium build. Because the flow is controlled, it allows you to use this mix on pieces with or without walls. The medium build equals medium dome pieces. This hardener is excellent for pearlized resins. The medium viscosity holds and suspends the pearl within the depths of the epoxy. B31C 7.5 gives you a pearlier swirl. To further restrict the flow or activate the thixotropic characteristics of the mix, drops of additive can be added. Additive comes in 2 types, the standard number 25 and the half strength number 30. Here you see B31C 7.5 hardener with 1 drop of number 25 additive in a 2010 mix. This allows you even more build and more control, letting you paint higher dome pieces. The last line is made with B31C hardener. Notice the restricted flow and very high build. This is like using a gel. This is a very high viscosity, very thixotropic mix, designed for high domes, very dimensional pieces. Drops can be added to further control this mix. After choosing the correct mix, you are ready to paint and set the cure of your pieces. For air drying, place your pieces on your shelving. Drying time is overnight at a constant temperature of 72 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the curing process continues for the next 2 to 3 days. Handling is not recommended before this time. Any cooler than 72 degrees Fahrenheit and this whole process will be prolonged. For baking, place your pieces in a hot room or hot box. Pieces need to be placed immediately after painting into the heat at a minimum of 85 degrees Fahrenheit for an overnight cure up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 to 3 hours. Epoxies are excellent adhesives. For foiled stones to pearls to most plastics and even bonding metal to metal, epoxies are both